Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and it's time for part 4 of the Monday Q&A, so let's do it. Would you recommend your 5x5 for an enhanced lifter, and if so, how advanced would you recommend someone get before they switch to something else? In all honesty, I have recommended it to intermediates or higher who went ahead and went on moderate amounts of gear. I've told them, yeah, go ahead and run the Novice program, because here's the difference between Novice, intermediate, and advanced. It has to do with how fast you can adapt. Novice level lifters can adapt very, very quickly and keep adapting quickly, and they can progress on linear periodization. The more advanced you get, the harder it is for you to adapt, the slower you adapt to training stimulus, and the more you need to vary training stimulus accordingly, because you just simply adapt so slow to everything you do, and then once you adapt a little bit, the adaptation stops. Well, people on anabolic steroids, they adapt faster. They have a stronger adaptation. They recover faster. Therefore, they can use a program oftentimes that is scaled back slightly and how advanced it is and make amazing progress versus where their actual level is. So it actually brings you back a little bit and allows you to run these programs. So someone could, in theory, go on a bit of gear and run the Novice program and keep making hypertrophy gains on it, even if they've already maxed out this program, they've gone to another, got even bigger, and then went back to the Novice program. They could probably run it for a year straight and make continual progress, simply because the drugs will allow them to go back to a straight linear progression model. And as far as the upper limit, that's hard to say, because again, how advanced someone is and how much gear they're on and what their limits are is really going to vary a lot. So it's very difficult to answer that outside of that, other than to say that someone on gear who isn't ultra advanced yet could probably run the Novice routine and gain a lot of muscle over the course of a year or two. All right, next question. Does the body store excess protein when it isn't needed for anything? No, your body doesn't store protein. Your protein stores are your muscle tissue. And your body will not make muscle tissue bigger than it has to, because it's metabolically expensive to add muscle tissue and have it, and we are essentially evolved to survive ice ages and famines. We don't gain muscle that we don't have to gain. So any muscle growth that you haven't stimulated through training and slept to adapt to will not soak up any protein as a store. And really, outside of that, in your organs, which have a finite amount, you don't really store protein as an energy system. So any protein that's been circulating through the bloodstream, some of it can circulate through the liver for a little while, a day or so. And then after that, whatever isn't used will be converted into glucose and stored as liver glycogen. So it will be converted to carbohydrates. It'll extract the nitrogen from it. You'll piss that nitrogen out. Now, all of this produces some extra waste products that can build up, and how much of a concern they are is really subject to debate. And there is always, like with anything else, a quantitative concern, not just the fact that there's waste products. And as far as if you're consuming way large amounts of protein, your body will just take the most direct route, and it will just start oxidizing protein for fuel. It will turn it into glucose immediately and burn it for fuel. Now, the thing to remember is, though, it is very, very, very unlikely and nearly impossible, even though the pathways exist, for your body to ever convert protein into body fat. That's one of those, it's hypothetically possible, just like it is hypothetically possible for you to win the lottery today and become a millionaire. It could happen, but I wouldn't bet on it. So it's the same with protein being stored as fat. So any protein that isn't used to rebuild structures, damaged structures in the body, like primarily muscle tissue, or isn't burned off immediately through oxidation because it's you're eating too much protein that your body doesn't need and it's your predominant micronutrient, will just be converted into glucose and then glycogen, and generally most of it will be stored in the liver. Some of it could make it to muscle tissue, but it will generally start with the liver first. All right, next question. High but stable sodium intake to improve vascularity and muscle fullness. Josef Rakich Fitness said low sodium is bad, and if you do high sodium consistently, you will pump more potassium into the muscle, increasing fullness and vascularity, and will not hold any excessive water. The potassium part's not necessarily true. It depends on balancing your potassium intake with the sodium intake. But yeah, if your sodium intake is consistently high and you are in good cardiovascular condition, you generally don't see a risk of increased blood pressure from it. And as long as your sodium intake isn't fluctuating wildly, no, it doesn't make you retain the subcutaneous water like people think. It makes you hold intramuscular water, and it can pump up blood vessels more. He is right. If you were to consume a lot of sodium in one go, it will bring out veins. It will bring out your veins and vascularity. And if you consistently keep it elevated and you don't change your sodium intake frequently, he is right. It will give you a fuller, more vascular look. I don't disagree with that. And I think it is important to remember, and the other point is that very, very low sodium intake can absolutely impede your performance. Alright guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time in part 5.